What do entrepreneurs struggle with most? I think it's the constant uncertainty about the business. We all have big dreams when we begin a new venture and we do everything we can to make it a success, but in reality, it's like exploring a new world where you just don't know what's around that next corner. There are just too many variables, so you have to think far ahead while working in the moment at the same time. You go through a lot of sleepless nights because you have one obstacle after another to deal with. Sometimes just making that sale can take everything out of you, or if you're suddenly growing very fast, keeping everything in check along the way becomes the challenge. You have to remain in a constant state of, what if, yet that same constant state causes anxiety. Without it, you get blindsided, with it, you worry about a lot of terrible possibilities. If you learn to pace yourself and manage the stress, you get through it. Don't think you're going to have a work-life balance and be a success. The heavy vacationing founders have a much harder time hanging onto their ownership over time. For most of us, we wouldn't even consider a vacation just because of the total volume of work to get done. Learning how to make all that okay is a part of the process. If you can manage all the stress and learn to have fun, you will get through it. If you're a pessimist by nature, you're probably not going to survive the hard times. Having a positive attitude is critical at all times. It's often where you find that last-minute solution to a major problem. It's also helpful in supporting that necessary persistence that gets you through those challenges that will come. An entrepreneur faces many challenges, many of which are difficult to handle. Few of these difficult challenges have the potential to shake the faith of the entrepreneurs in their venture. Continuing to believe in the potential of the venture, despite the challenges and the roadblocks, is a difficulty that entrepreneurs have to endure. Especially difficult when family, friends and well-wishers advise them to give up. Here is a list of what I think are a few difficulties that entrepreneurs face. I don't think there is the one that is most critical or most prevalent. As an entrepreneur, you could face some or all of these over your entrepreneurial journey. 1. To leave the option of a well-paying job. 2. To continue believing in the potential of the concept despite many wise well-wishers telling you that it won't work. 3. Taking the tough decision to let a few employees go when the going is not good. 4. When the assumptions that you made just don't hold good in the marketplace. 5. When you have to shut down a venture in which you had immense faith. Despite all the challenges, I love being an entrepreneur. Every single day I am doing what I enjoy doing. The challenges are a part of the journey and addressing them is a delight. I think it's ego. I know there's no data to back my claim. I truly wonder how many, if any, would swallow their pride and admit it's their misplaced sense of pride peppered with vanity that's holding them back. But based on what I've witnessed, inflated egos are to blame. There are many reasons why a business can fail. It can be because on an unprofitable business model, lack of leadership skills, poor financial management, and so on and so forth. However, the majority of reasons, some will even argue every, is because of the entrepreneurs themselves. I say this because as an entrepreneur, you are accountable. Entrepreneurial life is as tough and challenging as it is exciting, especially at the beginning and especially if you start off winning. You start to believe you can do anything. All it takes is a tiny push to blow your ego as a hot air balloon and take off. What entrepreneurs fail to keep in mind is the nuance of ego. It can be healthy and an invaluable tool in your arsenal, particularly when it comes to boosting your self-respect and confidence. Every entrepreneur has to take the risk at some point, whether it's starting a business or diversifying the portfolio. If you leave your ego unchecked, that's when the trouble begins. I've been privy to a lot of situations where the pumped-up ego of an entrepreneur was the stepping stone because it didn't allow them to realize that the idea wasn't all that great, or that it wasn't about them in the first place, or that their abilities aren't enough, or that there's so much to learn, or, oftentimes, the failure starts with the inability to back down and admit defeat. What you think will solve the problems or a specific pain point doesn't automatically mean it's possible or set in stone as such. You can draw the line and say, hey, it's not ego, it's ignorance, but at the end of the day, it's the same end result. When building a sustainable and scalable business, there's no place for ego in its original negative context. Embrace and understand that you're not perfect and that failures are part of the entrepreneurial path. Don't be afraid to ask for help if need be. Improve by learning. Give freedom where it makes sense and accept change. You'll have an easier time recognizing mistakes everyone else sees you're making, and ultimately, understand and attain success.